What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with a review of The Pitt Season 2 out in full on HBO. The Pitt in just 2 years' time has become one of the most essential, most celebrated drama series going today, and due to its reliable annualized production of releasing a 15-episode season every January, it has become a very comfortable and rewarding throwback to the TV norms of old for many people. Of course, the Emmys thought the same way, with The Pitt really running it up in the drama series category, Noah Wyle winning Best Actor, Kathleen Lanasa winning Best Supporting Actress. And of course, Season 2 did have at least a small burden of living up to that hype now that hype existed, whereas the first season really came out of nowhere and was a really welcome surprise. Season 2 now had a lot of anticipation to live up to. Given the increased expectations for the show, The Pitt Season 2 definitely delivered. In Season 2, the show was able to lean on its best qualities from the first season, notably its really engaging and transformative emergency department set, the incredibly deep ensemble cast that we came to know in that first season, incredibly tense and riveting set pieces where life and death literally hang in the balance. However, where The Pitt Season 2 change is that this series is much more concerned about its core cast of the hospital workers, and most of the patient storylines became secondary this time around. Our journey with Noah Wyle's Dr. Robbie, as we get closer and closer to the source of his continuous despair and why he is feeling so down, was a rewarding journey that really paid off by the season's conclusion. The show also was able to successfully introduce more characters that had good moments, such as Dr. Alice Sheemy and student Dr. Ogilvy. Not everyone returning from season 1 had as many good moments as they did the first time around, but I do think the wealth was largely spread, even if at the end of the day, this is a show about Dr. Robbie and rightfully increased the presence of Kathleen Lanasa's Nurse Dana following her incredible performance the first time around. It's hard not to feel so satisfied with how this show continues to move and pay off and its ongoing future moving forward. I would not be shocked if we get some kind of night shift-esque season or half season with this show as well, given the increasing presence of those characters in the later half of this season once again. For a show so obviously calling back the TV of the past, it really is worth harping on just how much I anticipated watching the show each and every week and how completely captivated I was minute to minute of almost every scene. The show is certainly prone to expository dialogue at times, although I think that was more noticeable the first time around. With this time, most of the exposition is largely medical jargon stuff that you don't have to actually understand. The show moves with such a pace that it doesn't really matter. It's very similar to how financial, jargon and definitions don't really matter when you're watching industry. It's the same way. The show's able to guide you through it no matter what. But because the Pitt Hospital is existing as a teaching hospital, there's all these very easy opportunities that don't come across as awkward, where the experienced doctors can explain or have the younger doctors explain what's going on, and even if that's for the audience purpose, it doesn't come across as clunky necessarily. Given this show is a really large ensemble, and it's pretty clearly going to always be the Dr. Robbie show, and we can get back to the future of Dr. Robbie at the end here, but he's been the face of the marketing, right? Noah Wyle is a spokesman for the show, and EP he directed an episode, he wrote an episode this season. This is the Noah Wyle show and a production, in many respects. He's the public face of the show. Not everyone else will get to have entirely their own moment, and Dr. Collins did not return for season 2 from season 1. We got word towards the end of season 2 that Supriya Ganesh, who plays Dr. Mohan, will not be returning for season 3. And I was a bit disappointed that got reported out and talked about before the season concluded, because the last 3 episodes, I was certainly watching them with Dr. Mohan's future in my mind. I really liked that performance from Ganesh as Dr. Mohan. I think she was one of the more popular characters on the show. But, you have to make tough choices when you're doing a show like this and you're trying to be accurate. And you have characters that will move on and go somewhere else, and that's just how the world of emergency medicine and med school in general, all those things work. It does make logical sense, but it is a bit of a bummer, I guess, to see that Mohan's just gone now, right? And of course, the opportunity for anyone to return to the show is obviously present. So, we'll see how things go in the future with all of that. But you think about all the other returning characters, I do think for the most part they had some good material. I do think Dr. Mel's deposition is one of the clunkier aspects of the storyline this season, just because This season's taking place on the 4th of July. Why would there be some kind of medical legal deposition in a courtroom or whatever, in the hospital, higher floors, whatever? Why would that be happening on 4th of July? How does that make any logistical sense? That would not be the case, right? This is literally taking place on the holiday. That being said, I like the material. I like the stuff with her sister and Mel kind of trying to come to grips with her own identity and how that's changing as a result of her caretaker status from her sister changing. I think that worked good. I love the way Dr. Langdon played into that. Isa Briones as Santo, she probably had less to do this time around. The quips, the sarcasm was still there, but she didn't have a whole lot really in terms of her own arc, apart from having that confrontation scene with Langdon following Langdon's return in this episode, which I did think went well. And Dr. Langdon's arc, it was largely a full redemption of sorts, but I do like how the characters are just in rough places most of the time, and you finally get that conversation with Robbie at the end there. Dr. Alishimi, I think her introduction early on was a bit cold, I think, and that's the way that was paced, and her being an advocate for AI and things like that. You're waiting for a shoe to drop with her, and I think the way it finally comes up and we learn about her own personal medical condition and what's going on with that and how Robbie responds, I did like a lot of that. I do think that pays off largely. I'd be curious if Dr. Al will be back next season. I'm not sure. It does feel like they want to get as much of Dr. Abbott, Sean Hattasey, as possible on this show, having him show up in the middle of the day doing medical SWAT team stuff when he's not actually working the night shift. Will we get a night shift stuff? Dr. Shen, more stuff this season. The ultrasound doctor introduction went really well. It's hard to say, but having a season, whether it be season 3 or not, opening with the conclusion of the night shift and then having all the day shift people we largely spend most of our time with show up a few episodes in, I think it'd be really tantalizing prospect. The scene at the end there where Langdon basically resets a guy's spine with time ticking down, riveting stuff. And that finale scene where the pregnant mother has to have that type of aborted C-section, whatever it was, that was that was a Pitt set piece episode. Just the staging of how they do stuff like that when the stakes are truly that high. It's just incredible stuff. When you combine that kind of dramatic work with everything we're spending with these characters who are being beaten down by the medical system, by how the medical system affects their patients and how that affects their mental health, things like that. There's a lot of different voices and perspectives presented throughout the show. I think Dr. Javadi had some good material this time around. I think there's just so much here with this show. The fact that it's a longer season, that's 15 episodes instead of just like a 6 or 8 episode season. Man, I feel like it's just such a rewarding watch. I just really enjoy it. And I enjoyed how we subtly changed this time around. They didn't run it back the way season 1 went, right? There was no mass casualty event again where there's just complete crisis mode. It was different. A lot of the crisis was, internal or seemingly internal, but everyone knew Raptor Robbie was on an edge and they're reacting to it in their own ways. Nurse Emma, I think the stuff with her and her relationship with Dana, her literally on her first day of work, good stuff there, good new character. I liked Ogilvy. I actually liked the arc that they gave him, kind of redeeming him of sorts, and we'll see what happens with Joy. Her character was a bit of a smaller presence on the show and ends up actually leaving early. Good stuff from Whitaker. I really like him on the ensemble, kind of becoming Robbie 2.0 in certain respects. Really satisfying show. I cannot wait for it to be back. And we already know that they announced it'll be back in January. This is truly an annualized show for HBO. It's really exciting, and I would expect this to run it up at the Emmys once again, the drama series category. I mean, Catherine Lanassa was absolutely superb this season. The sexual assault scene, extended scenes that she had in particular, truly unparalleled stuff from her. But yeah, let me know where you at with the Pitt season 2. What did you think about this season compared to the first season? And for more TV reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.